Good evening, everyone. I'm just waiting to make sure people are arriving on time, so we'll just give it a couple more seconds. Just let me know if you can hear me, okay? And I am using my new iPad tonight to see you guys, so hopefully this will work like it's supposed to. And I am using my new iPad tonight to see you guys, so hopefully this will work like it's supposed to. Hi, Julie. Hi, Darlene. Hi, Lauren. Oh, this is so neat that I can see you guys now. Hi, Peggy. Okay, looks like can you guys hear me okay? Hi, Pam. Hi, Fran. Okay, we're going to get started. So tonight we're using the Lovely as a Tree stamp set. And if you guys didn't have this stamp set, I gave you a couple alternatives to use some other trees and leaf images. This stamp set has been around since 2001. This is our longest running stamp set and it's still very popular. So I gave you guys a list of what you should have cut up ahead of time, and I'm going to try to go as slow as I can so you can keep up. So what we're going to do tonight is actually the smaller pieces that I had you cut up. Let me show you which ones I mean. The glimmer paper and the white. I did this on my customer page a couple weeks ago. We did a trade card swap, and this is what this is considered. It's the size of a trade card. So we're actually doing a trade card. I'm going to show you a couple examples before we get started. So this was the one that I used to show my customers in downline when they signed up to do the swap with me. I had actually just showed them this little piece in the center, and that's what we based our swap on. Everyone made different swaps this size that you see in the middle. This was the one that I made for the swap using the hedgehogs. So anything inside the blue, this was my swap. And we did have 12 people that signed up for the swap. I just mailed those out on Tuesday. No, wait a minute. I can't remember what day I mailed them out. But anyway, I would show them all to you, but I know the girls haven't received them yet. So I'll show them to you at a later date. So this is the card we're creating tonight. We're going to move the trade card up in the right-hand corner instead of centering it. Isn't that cute? And look at the glimmer paper behind there. And then we get the rhinestone jewels also. So let's go over the layers that you should have. So we have chocolate chip, 8.5 by 5.5, and we're going to score that together. We have 2 pieces of whisper white, 4 inches by 5 1/4. One is for the outside, one is for the inside. Emerald Envy, 5 inches by 3 3/4. And then the 2 pieces for the trade card, which is 2.5 by 3.5, is the glimmer paper. And I'm using, this is the white paper in the Myth and Magic pack, but you can use any of the glimmer paper that you have. And then the white layer is 3 1/4 by 2 1/4. We also needed a scrap piece for the sentiment in chocolate chip. And I've gone ahead and made my bow ahead of time. I can't remember if I told you to make one of those ahead of time, but anyway, no big deal. For ink colors, we needed the white and the Emerald Envy, the chocolate chip Stampin' Right marker. And then the stamps images that I'm using today is the cluster of trees, this leaf image, and the small sentiment. And this comes from the Teeny Tiny Wishes. Any small sentiment will do. And once this class is over, I would love if you guys would take pictures of your cards and load them in the comments. I would love to see what you did. Now the ribbon that I'm using is the striped grosgrain ribbon. What's kind of funny is I can read French because I come from French parents. They're both from Canada, even though I lived in the US. And I love reading the French version. I'm bilingual. You probably can tell by my accent. And lastly, rhinestone jewels and stamping dimensionals. So let's get started. We're going to need to score the chocolate chip layer. So you can bring in your score tool. I'm going to go as slow as I can. I know some of you are just watching and you'll probably create later. So we're going to score this at 4 1/4. I'll give you guys a few seconds to get that done. And I am, the lag time with you guys commenting is about 45 seconds. So if you do ask me a question, I won't see it till about 45 seconds after you post it. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and fold. I always flip mine around and to the reverse side and fold twice. Okay, now we're going to glue the white piece, the Whisper White, on the outside of the chocolate chip layer. And you guys need to tell me if I'm going too fast. This is my first time doing this. Okay, I'm gonna hold off and let you do that. While you're waiting, you can bring in your Emerald Envy or your green ink of choice and your Emerald Envy cardstock layer. And we're going to use the leaf image first. Okay, let's get stamping. Now I know that I want to position my trade card about 1/2 inch around the edge. So you can use that as a guide and then just move it. So we're using Emerald Envy ink on Emerald Envy cardstock. And I'm going to stamp 2 more leaves. Now don't worry where, even if they overlap here, because most of it's going to be covered. What you're focusing on is where the image is going to be on each side. So I'm going to add 1 there. So 1 horizontally and 1 vertically. And it looks like a big mess right here, but you're going to cover that anyway. So that's it for the stamping on this one. So now we're going to glue that to the card front. I'm anxious to see what kind of leaves and trees you guys are using if you don't have this set. Okay, and that goes right in the center. I'm just giving you guys a couple seconds after I glue mine in place, just to make sure I'm not going too fast. So what do you guys think of the new celebration items that started last week? I love the new basket weave embossing folder. I think that's my favorite. Okay, now I added glue to my Glimmer layer. And I'm going to glue that up top and to the right. So that's all flat so far, no dimensionals yet. Oh, I love the paper too, Julie. I should have said that might be a tie for my favorite. Okay, now I'm going to bring in my tree image, my Emerald Envy ink, and my chocolate chip marker. And I don't know if you were able to see on my sample here, the trees are green and then the trunk is brown. Now that is all on one image. So I'm going to show you how I did that. So first, and we're going to do a practice first just so you guys can see how it works. So I'm going to do a practice. So I inked up my stamp. Next, I'm going to use the chocolate chip marker, and I'm going to just run down on the tree, wipe my marker in case there's some green. And while I'm wiping the green off, I'm actually coloring with the chocolate chip also. So I'm going to do this twice, so once on scrap and then once on the real thing. Okay, so you can see how that came out in 2 colors. This is just copy paper, so it's not very vivid. So now let me clean my stamp, and you guys can go ahead and do it the way I did. So now I'm going to bring in my scrap piece of white, and again, we're going to ink the stamp. Color the tree trunk. The only reason I'm wiping off is just in case there's a lot of green on my marker. And then you can just pick the trees that you want. You got a lot of room to play with here. Okay, and there's my little splotch. Now, we're going to do the inside of the card the same way. I just added trees there on the inside. And this is a Get Well Wishes card. So I left it blank so I could add something later as we go. Okay, now I'm going to clean my stamp again to take the chocolate chip off. Ink it with the Emerald Envy. And again, color the tree trunk. I don't know why I want to call it tree bark. Same thing, I guess. So there's actually 6 trees on this image. And now I'm going to bring in for the inside of the card. And I'm going to stamp that on the very bottom. And this will be glued to the inside. Now, one thing I'm having a difficulty with in planning my classes is I know you guys don't all have the same stamp sets that I do. So I'm going to try to use something each week that you guys might have alternatives to. Okay, now I'm going to add stamping dimensionals. I was trying to decide if maybe I could list 3 stamp sets and do a poll and you guys could pick the one. Would that work well? I mean, it's up to you guys how you want to do this, because of course I'm doing my Techniques Tuesday once a month and my Friday folds once a month. So let me know if you think that's a good idea to give you 3 stamp choices. Okay, now one tip that I have. When you use stamping dimensionals on Glimmer paper, it's going to fall apart along the way. So what I normally do is bring in liquid glue. I add a dot of glue to the center of each dimensional. And then we're going to glue that in place. And what I would do once we're done the class, I'm going to take a punch and just lay it on top like that and leave it overnight, and that will secure it permanently. Okay, now we're going to bring in, let me hold off a minute and let you guys catch up. So you think giving you a choice of 3 stamp sets would work? I'll try that. I'll list, after tonight, I'll have a poll up, so you guys need to go vote. And if you have something similar, even if you don't have the same stamp set, you can vote on the one that works the best for you. Okay, now we're going to bring in the white ink. And I'm going to stamp my sentiment. Now, if you are using white ink, remember that this is not dye ink. It takes longer to dry. So try not to get your fingers on it. And we're going to use the classic label punch. And because I don't want to mess this up, I'm going to go ahead and add my glue on the image layer instead of flipping this over and trying to not smudge it. So that's going to be glued flat right there. Let me know if I'm going too fast. I know most of you are just watching and you'll probably create the card later, and that works. I'm trying to find my bow. I lost my bow. Okay, looks like I need to create another bow. I don't know what I did with it. I think it fell on the floor and I'm not going to bother. So let me quickly make another bow. And bows, I have a lot of customers that hate making bows. They take practice, really. You get good at it after a while. Okay, now if you haven't seen any of my other videos, I always put a glue dot on the knot. And then I use my liquid glue and put two little dots beside the glue dots. This gives me a double whammy of glue so that this won't fall off eventually when it dries, when the glue dot dries up. Okay, so the bow goes right in the corner. And our last step is to add rhinestone jewels. And I added 3 of them. And that finishes off my card. How quick was that? Now you guys can see, for those of you that are following along, you had everything cut up ahead of time. So now you know how I go through these cards so quickly when I post live. So if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. I'm glad you stopped by tonight. And I'll try to put the link up tonight for the poll so you guys can vote on the next stamps that you want to see. And we'll go from there. Thanks for stopping in tonight.